In this tutorial we're going to look at dynamic motion transfer, and most specifically the motion transfer event. This allows us to use dynamic retargeting algorithms within Endorphin, but use them within a scene. Now normally you do not need to do this for import and export, as that's taken care of with the auto motion transfer, and that's covered in a separate tutorial. The advantage of doing it this way is that you can modify that imported animation by setting strengths on individual joints and then mixing those with the other tools available within Endorphin. So to get started we want to delete the default character, so we do that by selecting him and then just hit delete to start with an empty scene, and then we go to add character, add audio motion 1, and we also want to include the reference character here. Click OK. Now that's brought the two characters in sitting on top of one another, so we want to move them aside so they're not going to collide to start with. So first of all I'm going to select the the simulation character and move him +2 in the X, and then the reference character and move him -2. So now we've got them apart. What we want to do is apply a motion transfer event to our simulation character and then set our reference character to be the source for that event. So I right click on our simulation character's timeline and create motion transfer event. Now this I want to start at frame 1 and then finish at frame 900. 900 being the length of the animation that we're going to load in. And then to set our source character as the reference character, I click on the select button here, and then either in the viewport or on the timeline I can just click this character and then that populates this field here. And then to load in some animation to have our reference character moving, I can right click to go out of that selection and then select the reference character, go to import, and now I'm going to choose AM Walk from the tutorial 12 directory. Click open, select the hips and OK that, leaving all the other settings as default. And now when I simulate, both of those characters are going to be playing that animation. So just to show you in more detail what's going on there, when we play back you can see that there's certain parts of the character are pink and they have green crosses on them, and they are the ones that are getting the motion transferred from our source character to our target. So on here we've got root, spine, the shoulder, the upper arm and the hand. So now that we have our animation transferred onto the target character, we can now start to clean it up. So if we have a look at the animation on the reference character in more detail, you can see that his foot is actually going through the ground. If I zoom in there I can show you that. So you can see here the feet are actually getting pushed through the ground. So due to the nature of this being within a simulation, we can clean that up for free very easily. So if I go to the simulation character's feet, you can see that his feet are prevented from going through the ground. But what they are doing at the moment is kind of flopping around a bit loosely, because we're only controlling the heel of the foot for now. So what we can do to fix up that is to apply a active pose onto the character. So if we go to frame 0, we can apply an active pose to him by right clicking on the timeline, create active pose, and then set that out to be the same length as the motion transfer event. Now we do it at frame 0 because we know that at that frame his feet are going to be flat, and we want him to try and hold that pose as much as possible to within a certain strength, and of course within the active pose you can set that strength as well. So now when we simulate, we get nice clean feet that never penetrate through the ground. So you can see it's very quick and easy to start to clean up things like feet penetrating the ground. Now the main feature of using the motion transfer event is that you can modify that original animation. So this here, rather than having the character just in a standard walk animation, we want to have the effect of holding a shield. So we can do that by turning off the strength of the motion transfer event for his right arm and then control that with an active pose. So first of all we have to turn off these rig nodes, and we do that in the character rig setup. Now you can do that by going here, character rig, or pressing the hotkey C. Now in this section here, the rig node groups, I want to create a new group so I can start to customize that. So I click on add, and I'm going to call that right arm free. And then for the upper arm I set it to no hold, and for the right hand I set it to no hold. And then I click OK to confirm that, and then in the motion transfer event I come down here to rig groups and I set my group to be right arm free. And now when I simulate, the arm is free to move around within the simulation. But because we got this active pose here, it's giving it a certain amount of strength to try and keep out to the T-pose. So now to modify that, I can just right click on this active pose, go load pose, and we have a holding shield.nma, which is a pose file in the tutorial 12 folder. So I select that, and now we've got the character into a kind of holding shield pose there. And now when I simulate, you can see that the pose pulls his arm down into that angle there to effectively look like he's holding a shield. So you can do other things like turning down the strength of the active pose, or indeed adding a mass object to the scene using a join bodies constraint, attaching it to the arm, and see how that affects the motion.